Hi, I'm Carlotta A, and I'm an open source hardware trailblazer fellow. And today is the DaisyBot assembly video. My project is about robotics for the streets, robotics for academics to engage in teaching, research, and service. We've already seen the LilyBot, which would be used for service, which is a smaller robot with a 6-inch diameter, would be used for elementary through high school and maybe freshmen in college, and it has an Arduino Uno. And today I would like to introduce the DaisyBot. The DaisyBot has an 8-inch diameter, and it has an Arduino Mega, and instead of the mini breadboards found on the LilyBot, it has a half a breadboard. So today's video will show you how to assemble the DaisyBot. Some of the other features of the DaisyBot is the upper chassis, the lower chassis, the 2 motors, the motor mounts, the 2 wheels, as well as the 2 caster wheels on the bottom. And then we have the 1, 2, 3, 4 standoffs that connect the upper and lower chassis together. And you may either have a 9-volt battery pack or a 6 AA battery pack in the middle in order to power the robot. Make sure you come back to learn how to program it and to check for motion control. Let's get started.
So the first thing we're going to do is build the upper chassis. The way that you know the upper chassis from the bottom chassis is that the upper chassis has the words breadboard on it and Mega on it. So Mega is where you're going to mount the Arduino Mega, and breadboard is where you're going to mount the breadboard. Because it's a circle, it's sometimes difficult to tell where the front of the robot is. DaisyBot, where the word DaisyBot is, represents the front of the robot. Similarly, if you want to know the bottom chassis, you can tell the bottom chassis because it has the words batteries, left wheel and right wheel on the top, and DaisyBot once again is the front of the robot, and the bottom of the lower chassis on the robot has back caster and front caster. Yours may not be different colors, but that helps you to distinguish. The top of the lower chassis has batteries on it, and the bottom of the lower chassis has back caster and front caster on it. And once again, you line up the DaisyBot on the top and on the bottom, and that's where the front of the robot will be. We're going to start with the upper chassis first. Okay, to assemble the upper chassis, you're going to need the Arduino Mega, as shown here. You're going to need the half a breadboard. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, and you're going to need 2 6mm pan head machine screws, 3mm in diameter. So now we're going to put the Mega on here. You actually have the mounting holes already here, so you just have to line up the Mega, and we don't have to put all of them. You just need to put 2 diagonal in order to make sure that it stays put. So I typically will do the upper right and the bottom left. So you line up the holes. The next step is to then take the tape off of the half breadboard, and you're going to line it up right here. You want to make sure not to cover the holes though, because you're going to need those holes to mount your sensors and to route wires. And make sure that the bumps are on the outside so that this is flush against the Mega. So preserving the holes and lining this up as best as possible. You're then going to bring this down here like so. And attach that. And now your upper chassis is complete. And to see another example of what that looks like, here's one DaisyBot chassis. And here's another. Okay, so next we're going to attach the motor mounts to the motors. Notice that you're going to have a left and a right motor mount. You can tell the difference because the little tab at the bottom is on a different side. So when you attach it to your motor, you want to make sure that these holes line up with the motor, like so, and that the red and black wires are pointed towards this side where you put the motor mount, because that means it'll be under the robot and closer to the breadboard. So for example, if I'm going to screw this in, I'm going to screw it to this side. If I'm going to screw this one in, I'm going to line up the holes, but I'm going to screw it to that side, and then it becomes our left and right motor mount. I'm only going to do one for you because it does take a little bit of time, but I want to show you what it looks like when it's finished. So there would be one motor mount, and here would be the motor mount for the other side. So we typically use 20 millimeter or 25 millimeter screws for this, and when they're that long, I can actually start screwing from the other side and screw all the way through. But if I have some that are slightly shorter like these, then I just screw them in this side. But you want to go as far as possible through the motor so that make sure it stays attached. So since I have a little shorter screws today, I screw them on this side. When I have the longer screws, I will screw them on this side. So I'll show you a couple to see what it looks like when they come through from the other side. So here would be one where the screws were a little longer. So the screws are actually on the side by where I'm going to put the wheel. It doesn't really matter as long as it attaches. But because these are longer, they're about 25 millimeters and it goes all the way through, I can come in through the back. The main thing is you just want to make sure that this motor mount is securely attached to the motor. So here, I'm going to take one and I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to start the screw. I'll start normally hand twisting it a little bit first to get it started. Then I'll take the screwdriver and go through the mount, trying to get through the other side to get to the motor and then go through. And then I'll start the other one here. And then once they're through the other side, I attach it to the motor. And that's what it would look like after you have attached the motor mount. And once you've done both sides, this is what you have. Okay, so next we're going to look at how to attach the battery pack. So now I have a cinch strap for connecting the battery pack. I have a 6 AA battery pack, and like I showed you earlier, you could either use a 6 AA battery pack or you could be a 9-volt battery. Use a 9-volt battery pack. So remember, this is what it looks like with a 9-volt battery pack. Either one is fine. So since I'm going to use the 6 AA this time, I'll put the 6 batteries in here. So there's our 6 batteries. So the cinch strap, what you're going to do is I'm going to put the connecting part underneath. So you're going to put this in so that it faces daisy bot long ways like that. And then you're going to put one side through here. Maybe easier just to take it off. Do that like that. Put this one in over here. And now that we have it like that, then slide the battery pack in like that. Then flip it over and cinch it together. And then whenever you need to change the batteries, you just turn the robot over and take that off. So if I do that, we now have our battery pack connected. And so here are two motors with our motor mounts. So you now look here, and it's hard to see, but it says right wheel and left wheel. And I typically will attach these so that that moving end of the motor points back, kind of like the robot's wings. So the hole is going to go to the inside. So if I drop this into here, like so. I always mix this up, sorry. So if I drop this into here and then I screw it, you'll feel the tension. So now it goes back so that the moving part faces away from DaisyBot. Then I do the same over here, and I drop this in and it swings back so there's the tension on the ridges, and it goes in like that. Okay, so now we have our bottom chassis attached. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to attach the caster wheels. Okay, so to see what this looks like when it's done, here's our cinch strap, our battery pack. This one doesn't have the motors on it, but we're going to attach our front and our back caster wheel. They are identical. You just screw the hose. These are going to be 8mm holes, and they normally will hold by themselves, but then sometimes we will put a washer or lock washer on here just to make sure it doesn't come off. So that's just what we're going to do now. So you're going to have 4 8mm screws, and I line them up with the holes on the back caster here, and I put the holes in here, the screws in the holes here, and then I just screw them down with my Phillips head screwdriver again. So one's there. Then after I get that one done, I turn it and I do the other one. Obviously it doesn't matter whether you do front back or back front. So I then do this side. And screw them down. Remember, you can use any length, but 8mm or shorter means it won't stick out too much on the other side. So I put that one there. And then you see them on the other side. And these were a little long, but you can still put the nut on it to make sure it stays secure. Okay, so that's one caster wheel on. And then, like I said, you do the same for the other. And there you have two wheels. These go a little further through, so they actually don't have the washers, but that's what it looks like when they're attached. And then your next step is to attach the wheels. So at this point, you just line up the wheel with the side of the motor and you simply push, okay? And then you line up the other wheel with the other side and you push. Like so. So the final step is to connect the upper chassis and the lower chassis. To connect the lower chassis and the upper chassis, you're going to line them up. So remember, DaisyBot is in the front for both. So you would line them up like this. And then you line up their holes and you screw them together with the standoff. Now we have several versions of DaisyBot. So you want to make sure that your top and bottom line up. So that's what I'm checking now. The versions I have now do not line up. So I have to find one that has the same kind of holes. And here is one. Daisy bottom and top here that I'm going to put together. So I can start either on the bottom or the top. But the first thing I want to do is I want to put the 4 screw holes in, then mount the standoff, and then line it up with the bottom. So for example, I would do this with 8mm screws. So I'm going to start all 4 and screw through to the other side and then put on the standoffs. Okay, so now I have the 4 standoffs on. So as you can imagine, what we do next is we line up the top and the bottom, making sure that DaisyBot is at the same point on both so that the front and back are lined up. And then we attach the bottom of the standoffs, and that's what I'm going to do next. Then you add your wheels back, and DaisyBot is all built. So now I'm going to add the screws to the bottom to line up the standoffs. And And there is Daisy completed. Like I said, you just need to tighten down your standoffs a little more. Make sure the wheels are in there secure. And then Daisy is ready to be programmed.